First of all, audience, welcome back to the another fireside session, and I'm so honored to have Mr. Ankit Aggarwal, founder and CEO of Unstop, to this wonderful fireside chat. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Shubham, for inviting me, and pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And we've been watching you since the Shark Tank episode has been live, and since then we are just following your footsteps as well as I have personally seen you in many events, and I have worked with you, but you might be not aware about that. So today we are here to talk about on the topic like competition and entrepreneurship, right? Nurturing the tomorrow's innovators, because Unstop basically what they are doing. I hope everyone is aware about that, but I really request Mr. Ankit to please explain the same and give a brief about it and about yourself as well.
Sure. Thank you. About me, I mean, a typical engineer plus an MBA guy. What can I say more?
Yeah.
I started my career journey with Sapient and as a consultant at Deloitte Consulting. For Unstop, I think we are the largest talent discovery and engagement platform. The idea about Unstop is that how do we connect students, colleges, and employers on the same platform so that
Yeah.
we are enabling employers to democratize their engagements in hiring,
Okay.
irrespective of students, college, city, or marks. So, if, for example, a company wants to hire maybe 100 grads or 1,000 grads, they should be able to do that based on the merit of the student rather than the background of the students, which in many cases is either the institute's name or the marks or the others, right? And on the
Yeah.
other side, what we are also trying to do for students is that we are uh, giving them a digital playground to explore their interest in which industry, which company, which role they will thrive. And they will only be able to do that once they start engaging with many companies across industries and various profiles on Unstop so that they get to know what not to do and what to do as soon as they land a job.
Yes, sir. So that is particularly really amazing, and the story you are having and the kind of impact you are trying to create, and the concept is really unique in itself. And being a CEO, and after all, I have particularly seen your LinkedIn profile and did a bit of a research, and there I see that you've been working from really long. Okay, there was the company was Dare to Complete formally. So, sir, my first question goes to you. Like, what are the some of the major challenges you have faced as a founder and the CEO, and how you have managed to, navigate them to steer your company and unstop towards the success and the growth?
I think the main challenge that any founder or a CEO faces is the team. I'll
Okay.
tell you why that challenge and how that challenge is really, really important. You cannot grow without a team, right? As a
Yes,
founder,
absolutely.
I can't do everything uh, that a company needs to do, right? Whether it's marketing, sales, technology, I may need to have some understanding of all those functions, but day-to-day operation needs to be managed by a team. So the first and the foremost challenge is the founding team itself, and
Yeah.
which every founder faces this kind of a challenge. I think for me, there are two critical aspects of selecting a team member. One would be that does that team member take an ownership? Because in the
Yeah.
founding team, taking ownership of that task is very, very critical.
Yeah.
Because if I've told that, hey, these are the 10 tasks that needs to be done, then and if I allocate those tasks to those team members, they need to be done no matter what. So I need to have that trust in that person and to give him that ownership and maybe freedom to get that task done
Yeah.
by any means possible, right? I think that's the basic challenge that we have faced, and I'm sure all the founders face. Now, how to get around this? I think the solution is mixed. Many a times it might be hit and trial.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be that you get just lucky. In your first
Yeah.
attempt, you get a good team member who is able to do everything that you asked for, right? But
Hmm.
essentially, as a founder, you also need to learn few aspects in those teams or in those tasks which you don't really know about. So let's say if you want to do a PR or if
Yeah.
you want to do or develop a website, right? So I know you would hire techie, but just to ensure that that techie is not taking you for a ride, you at least need to know only the basics, right? How a website
Yeah.
is developed, how much time it takes, what technologies are there, right? And you can Google, right? Similarly, for a PR, what should we do if you want to release a PR, correct? What it takes to get the right PR landed nicely. And when I say PR, I mean, I've not done it personally. I'm just giving you an example, right? But I'm a
Yeah.
techie. I know for a fact that how the tech is done, right? The
Yeah.
marketing is done. So I think from that perspective, you need to first check, and the best thing that you can do in the team members is check their background, one, whether they have done it or not. And then there are two things that are very, very critical: aptitude and attitude. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And in these two zones, I would say attitude is the most critical for me. That's a non negotiable.
Okay.
Aptitude, there are two parts to the aptitude, right? Obviously, the person should be able to calculate 2 plus 2 is 4, right?
Absolutely,
That's the
sir.
basics, correct? But if I give them, let's say, a complex, maybe a description 2 plus 2 divided by 2 into 2 into 5 and all of that, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect that person to get that answer in a minute, though that might be a nice to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying that the first thing that I track and majorly all the founders is the attitude. Whether the person has the hustling nature, can we trust them? Can we give them ownership? Can we give them freedom? And can they work or not? And you will make mistakes in your first few hires. You cannot
Okay.
get it right. It's very, very simple. If you don't have experience of selecting in the first few hires, maybe 10, 20, 25, you will make mistakes. But dive into as to what are those mistakes that you're hiring. I'll tell you at Unstop, and this is very, very recent. When we go on a hiring spree, there is always a dilemma that whether you want to hire uh, a mind or two hands,
Mm,
or
absolutely.
mind and two hands, right?
Yeah.
Now, many a times what happens is when you get into a mode where you have a lot of work, you try to do suboptimal thresholds. So let's say your
Mm-hmm.
threshold might be 8 on 10, but you do hire 7 on 10 sometimes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, correct? That means you have some doubt about that person in your mind. In 90% of the cases, whoever we have hired with that doubt has not been good. So now we
Mm.
know that even if we have a slight doubt for a person, we should not take them because the
Okay.
probability is much, much higher for us to make that mistake. And the game is all about probability. So it will be a learning exercise. You will make mistakes, but during that process, you will learn. But just be clear, are you hiring a mind or two hands or a mind with two hands? You need to be very,
Yeah.
very
Absolutely.
clear with all these things.
Yeah, so what's the one major challenge, me as a founder, we have just recently started, but which we are facing is that there is a some kind of insecurity, that kind of a, manpower we have hired and the team which we have, and they're like, we have the best team, which I feel. But the insecurity that they might leave us very soon, and if we are able to find that particular person or person like that really soon or not, so how do we figure that out?
So, I mean, for me, it's a gestation period of about 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Simple, right? So, whenever I hire a person,
Hmm.
okay, and I'm just taking you post hiring, not the pre hiring
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
In 3 months, you get to know whether both of you are made for each other or not. And it's like a marriage itself, right? Very
Yeah.
frankly. And that's why in all our contracts, there is a probation period of 6 months. It has
Okay.
nothing to do with compensation or the benefits that the person is getting. No. It is just a line which says that, hey, you will have a probation period of 6 months, which is to say that in those 6 months, both of us needs to work together, possibly more than what we do post 6 months, because we need to be very, very comfortable with each other. I'm just saying a
Yeah.
manager or a team player relation, right? They need to know whether they'll be able to add value to the team,
Yeah.
okay? Whether they'll be able to add value to the company, and whether company will be able to add value to their professional and personal growth, right?
Sure.
Because only then they will stick around, correct?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
second thing is from the company perspective, in those 3 months, typically you get to know whether this person is that kind of a person that you wanted, right? Whether the person is taking ownership, whether the person is proactive or not, whether the person actually can go in and get the stuff done. Is he a hustler or not, right? And
Yeah.
if these two things are not matching, then you give another 3 months to ensure that can we groom them? We give feedbacks, right? So that hey, you are okay in these three zones, but in these three, which are very, very critical for us, there is a gap. Let's figure out if we can bridge that gap. And in
Okay.
next 3 months, if we are not able to bridge that gap, then I think we are not made for each other. It's better to call it off rather than stick around.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely, sir.
And that's
Yeah.
why a 6 months probation period is very, very critical, which gives an
Mhm.
understanding, and both the parties should know, both
Yeah.
of them, so that both are evaluating their options.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this particular answer because that was, many founders are looking for. And so considering, the startup ecosystem which we have right now, so what advice would you offer to young entrepreneurs, who are eager to make their mark, but might be apprehensive about the uncertainties associated with the startup journey? Because really, at this start, people are really not sure about, the team as well as the work as well as the market. So, what would you like to advise? The emerging entrepreneurs especially.
I think the first thing that everybody needs to realize that in startups you always work in uncertain environments and you
Mhm.
always work in complex settings. Things won't be clear to you because very frankly they won't be clear to even the founder
Yeah.
because all the founders and the leadership team always work in either a data driven manner or gut feel. In
Yeah.
majority of the cases it's a combination of both, right?
Yes, sir.
You may be given a task that we need to get this done maybe 100 million by 2 years. That may
Yeah.
look unachievable. I'm not denying that fact. It may look unachievable, right? But unless and until you break them down into tangible milestones that you
Yeah.
can be rest assured of, right? Only then those uncertainties will become achievable milestones, right?
Yeah.
I think today's post I did this morning was all about are we limiting ourselves?
Yes, sir.
Because the question is that when we are put into an uncertain environment, we
Yeah.
always limit ourselves because we don't know where to move ahead. Okay, we
Yes, sir.
don't know a clear path. And you need to be very, very clear in a startup environment like ours. There will always be time where you will have to trust and be motivated, right? And that's
Yes.
the another challenge. As a founder, how should I keep them motivated? How can I be that person that even when that's uncertainty, they know and they trust each other that hey, yaar, kuch na kuch to kar hi lenge. Let's move forward. Correct.
Yeah.
Let's
Absolutely.
move ahead and get the stuff done, and I'm sure we'll be able to reach that mark, which is the target. And I think
Mhm.
that's why I believe that we just don't have to limit ourselves
Absolutely.
because the first person to reach the target takes a hell lot of a time because they are just trying to figure out things. The second person will may do that in half the time or one third or maybe one fourth of the time because by that time a path has been laid out by the person who reached there first.
Yeah. Yes,
So
sir.
I think there will be times, and both the founding team, the company as well as the employees both need to know this.
Yeah. Okay. And so, like, this is really insightful, first of all, because many people are, facing the challenges like myself starting. So as this is a LinkedIn conference, Creator Con, specifically for LinkedIn landscape. So my next questions is for you regarding how do you perceive the role of competition in fostering an entrepreneurial mindset, so among students, and how they can leverage this platform like LinkedIn to amplify their impact and to reach massive and gain a huge network or actually a fruitful one. Yeah.
So when you say competitions, like our engagements, right? Hackathon,
Yes,
case
exactly,
studies,
sir.
and all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me divide that into, I believe this is not one question, but two questions. One is how
Yeah.
competitions are helping developing the entrepreneurial mindset. And the
Yeah.
second is how do you leverage LinkedIn as a platform, right?
Yes, sir.
So we will come to the second part later. But the
Yeah.
first part, okay, so all the big companies today,
Mhm.
okay, are run by non-founder CEOs. You take example of Apple,
Yeah.
Microsoft,
Yeah.
correct? All of them, correct, are run, and there are many others, right? All big guys now are run by professional CEOs, not the founder CEOs. And if you see their growth during the time of the founder or the promoter versus now, the commonality, right,
Yes, sir.
is entrepreneurial mindset, not an entrepreneur. Founder is
Mm.
an entrepreneur. The
Yeah.
CEO, professional CEO, is not an entrepreneur, but that person has an entrepreneurial mindset. So my sense is very, very simple that if you want to succeed, whether you're a manager or an entrepreneur or a founder or maybe a CXO, no matter what, right? You need to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. What I spoke earlier about the challenges of the team, the uncertainties, how to
Yes.
navigate them, this is nothing but an entrepreneurial mindset to figure out
Mhm.
things when they are not clear, right?
Absolutely.
To have that vision and to take different vantage points into consideration when you're thinking through one aspect or one problem.
Mhm.
Now, to think through one problem with different vantage points is what competitions help you with. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say when we say competitions, a case study competition or a hackathon, you there might be multiple competitions from let's say Flipkart, Amazon, Walmart's, Uber's, Ola's of the world, right? Now
Yes.
imagine you are in a college, whether you are looking at engineering or maybe an MBA. After competing in these competitions, you will get to know because you're actually looking at a real problem that these companies are facing. Once you look at those
Yeah.
problems, once you try and solve those, you will get to know that, hey, this domain is not for me. Maybe
Mhm.
finance is not for me. Let me look at
Yeah.
marketing. Once you look at marketing, oh my God, this case study blew my mind. Let me get into that, right? Let me get into
Yes.
more of those case studies which are related to marketing. And similarly
Yeah.
for engineering, right? Whether product manager is the best fit for you, or a data science is best fit for you, or just a normal software developer is best fit for you,
Mhm.
you will only be able to get once you are able to get into different competitions, and all of them give you different vantage points which will help you take a more informed decision and to create that entrepreneurial mindset to manage your business. Now whether you're an entrepreneur managing a business, or a manager managing a business, or a CEO managing a business, doesn't matter. You need to have entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And sir, even in the while, like when people usually started, I mean, when you started, I particularly saw your journey. So at your time, okay, I don't want to be more sarcastically, but it's just like in 2010s, era. So there was social media was not that active as compared to now. There were no AI tools as well. So how like you figured out and how did you work yourself on the businesses as well as the particularly the marketing part and how you outstand it in the particular market. So could you please
I think
shed
it's
some
a
light on
it's a
that?
it's a it's a discovery-led journey, Shubham. Very
Okay.
frankly, as I said, you need to try out 10 different things. Only two of them may work. But the only point was that we need to try 10 different things. And I
Okay.
think that's played a role for Unstop
Mm-hmm.
as well. The
Mm-hmm.
growth that we have seen in last 2 years, right, has been phenomenal. We took that pivot in May 2021. Earlier, we were just an intermediary platform, but now we are an engagement platform. Everything for a particular engagement happens on Unstop. That's the bottom line, right? And we have had our shares of learnings. We have had our shares of things not going well, but what the only thing that I think we have been able to do and still do today is to try out 10 different things. Because if
Okay.
I don't try out 10 different things, I won't get to those two things which are working. So
Mm-hmm.
when we opened our platform to all engineering students and MBA students to do their engagements, their internal competitions on Unstop, that gave us that growth. Earlier, we
Okay.
were restrictive. Earlier, we were restricting ourselves that, hey, only we will be posting things. But then why can't we give it to everybody? And if you see all those community or network platforms like a
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them, the commonality is that there are content curators as well as content information
Customers. Yeah.
absorbers, right?
Yeah.
So there will be some who would want to only absorb, there will be some who would want to absorb and create. And
Yeah.
that's what we are trying to do. That what are those technicalities or what are those smaller areas that we should definitely dive into?
Okay. Uh, okay, sir. So that was like, as you said, that, we just have to keep trying every time and not to be, stuck in a box, particularly because the moment, company starts to run and we started to get recognition, that's where the new real invention brings on, right?
Yeah.
So, sir, as I already like asked you a question about that, particularly on LinkedIn platform, how do you see your self as a personal brand, as well as the Unstop, and how the emerging startup like us can outstand in the particular market, particularly on LinkedIn, because being LinkedIn being a professional platform, so they are having a very massive engagement as well. So how can we, outstand that and having all the influences on board as well? Yeah.
No, I think uh, I may give you controversial views, okay, on this LinkedIn platform. And uh, I mean, I hope all the viewers and readers don't take it
Yeah.
otherwise. Uh, LinkedIn as a platform is phenomenal, no doubt about it. Okay,
Okay.
and now in that content creation mode, there are many people who are looking at creating content, and all those contents are what they really really believe in. It's very simple, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
for us, I'll tell you for myself, I write and give thoughts that I may have experienced or what I think through,
Mm-hmm.
right? If my marketing team may reach out to me saying that, hey, we have launched this product, please push it on LinkedIn. Many a times I say no to them because I'm not a marketer, right?
Okay.
In terms of my LinkedIn profile, see, there are two components, right? One
Yeah.
is me, Ankit Aggarwal, as an individual talking about my thoughts on LinkedIn, right? And
Yes.
in that sense, you create that influencer brand, right? And
Yeah.
that will indirectly help the brand Unstop. The people
Mm-hmm.
will see the founders as to, and there are many cases, right? If we basically speak about founders, their charisma, it will impact the brand indirectly, right? That's
Yeah.
one element, and I think it is happening beautifully on LinkedIn. Okay. The second aspect is companies maintaining their pages and talking more about content and engaging with their users. Now, the content that they're pushing on LinkedIn, I think the one basic aspect that they're going wrong, and we also did that, was that LinkedIn content cannot be same as your Instagram or a Facebook content or a Twitter
Absolutely, sir.
content. It
Yeah.
cannot be same, right? But many a times people think that, okay, let's create one post, we'll just do adaptations and we'll push it on social media platform. I think that's not how LinkedIn is. LinkedIn might be a bit more intellectually focused and other
Yeah.
platforms might be more culturally focused, right? And personalized, correct? So I think these two things we need to realize. The third thing, which may become controversial, but I believe once you gain traction as an influencer, right?
Yeah.
The thing that I don't like is that they only post about things that are giving them money.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And that is, I think, somehow doesn't go really, really well, right? So effectively they're nothing but a marketing medium, right? And then the whole essence of what they started off, if they started off helping students get into hiring, then they should be doing it and they should be doing it for all the platforms and everything combined. Once they know that hey, out of five, these two platforms have the capacity to pay and are engaging with them. They will only push about those two
Mhm.
platforms. They'll just ignore the other three platforms. And I'm being very, very candid here in terms of that is something that possibly doesn't really go well. And what
Yeah.
happens is we've seen those cases as well where those influencers are the ones who abuse the other platforms who are not paying them that hey how can this happen, how can that happen, and the people who are
Yeah.
paying, they won't abuse them. That's normal. I'm just saying that's normal business, but let's be sure as to what we want to do and what we are doing, right?
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
think from the influencers point of view, it is a very phenomenal medium,
Mhm.
uh, but we need to know what this medium will or should be used for. And as a company as well, it has to be customized in a more intellectual manner. But there are benefits that founders like me are driving, companies like Unstop are driving, and influencers are the right platform. It's just that we just need to see what kind of a content are they pushing in, whether
Yeah.
with or without money. I think I just have that question, nothing else.
Yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for being on this platform and sharing the wonderful insights which we have about the startup as well as LinkedIn being a platform. And we are really grateful to have your presence. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us and audience. And I'm very like grateful to have such kind of a huge response from the audience as well as for sir. So thank you so much for joining in, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
we will work soon. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. See you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.